Hello everybody, I'm Martin. Welcome to another episode of Minecraft Enigmatica 2 Expert. Today is going to be another progress day, because we need to get caught up on some things that while we don't really need them, we need to do to fill out the quest book. And today, I figured we would pick up with the Mekanism chapter, because it has a whole bunch of open points for things that are just mostly components or machines we don't currently need. And I think we'll start with the actual subcomponents, so the compressed carbon will be the first one. And the compressed carbon is super easy because it's just coal in the enrichment chamber, which we can do. Alright, and that's probably the easiest step we'll do all day. But we probably should discuss what it's used for real quick because its uses are pretty limited. And the main one is to make the whole realm, which is used to kickstart a Mekanism fusion reactor. It's required as the initial fuel to start that. Or it can be used to make enriched iron, which can then be turned into steel using more compressed carbon. And that's about all that it does. Not really all that useful. The next thing we're going to do is the Mekanism Steel step, which is the same thing. It's telling you to use that to make the enriched iron to turn into steel blend to turn into steel ingot. Alright, and I got the steel blend created. Now I should note that this actually is a better coal to iron ratio than you get with normal steel from like the blast furnaces, because you get 4 steel per 1 coal, but coal's not an issue. I have basically infinite coal. And even if I didn't, I have my IC2 one over there that uses basically no coal. So that's finished, and that also finished the basic tier installer, which turns Mekanism machines into factories, and I probably should show you how this works real fast. But to make these is actually pretty simple too. It just requires advanced circuits, which we've made a billion of, and a steel case, which we've made a billion of. So let's do it to one of my machines, and I think we'll do it to the crusher, because they're the one I'm most likely to want to be able to have run in parallel, and that's what this does, is it upgrades these machines. So it is now a basic crushing factory. This now has more power and it consumes more power. But if we right click into it, you can see that I can run multiple jobs in parallel now, as well as having other options that I can do with the machine. So it's used to basically scale up all of your operations. The higher tiers here add more slots onto those machines so you can process more things in parallel. But as seen, if we go into the advanced one, it requires, well, a material we need to go make. And that material is the elite control circuit down here, which frankly we're just overdue for making. This is all stuff we easily have. And that too is now out of the way. So with that, we can now go make the advanced tier installer, which just needs 2 of those and a zirconium ingot, which just requires zirconium dust, which we have plenty of, because that's something we can crush diorite for to make, which we also need this to make the diamond anvil way back. Alright, and now we have this installer done as well. If we slap this into our basic rock crushing factory, it upgrades it to the advanced one with more power and more power usage, but now we can crush 5 at a time. So the next step would be the elite one, except the elite one requires the next control circuit, but also plutonium, which we cannot get without an extreme reactor. It's a byproduct from yellorium ingots. So this gets put off until later, which is fine. We don't actually have any immediate need for this much parallel processing off a crusher, but we'll come back to this. What we are, however, going to do is the ultimate control circuit, because this we can do. Because this we can do with the Empower. We just need 4 atomic alloys and then another elite control circuit. And the atomic alloy is just the compressed obsidian version of this one, which is all stuff, again, we can easily do. And pew 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 goes the Empowerer. And that's another step done. Alright, so the next step up is the thermal evaporation plant, which, as said right here, is to make water into brine and brine into lithium. What it doesn't tell you is what this is for, and this is to be able to create tritium to power a fusion generator. I will make the parts for this now because they're not too bad to make, but I'm not going to be putting this together until I go to make the generator, which will not be this episode. But the parts aren't too bad, other than requiring 2 ultimate control circuits and an ultimate fluid tank, which isn't that hard to make. It just requires staging up to the various types of alloys. And everything else is pretty simple. It's just these thermal evaporation blocks and a circuit for the 2 valves, and a whole bunch of steel and copper for the thermal evaporation blocks themselves, which we need a bunch of. Alright, and now we have all of the pieces for this made, although the reality is you need at least 2 of these, because you need to go from water to brine and then brine to lithium. This at least clears out the quest book entry for it for now. So now, let's go and make some metals that we haven't made yet, because we want to get to the Osgloglas to upgrade our pick to. And this starts with the Glowstone ingot, which is pretty easy. It's just glowstone dust inside the osmium compressor with an ingot. And since I did this off camera last time to show you how this works, you just put in an osmium ingot to convert it to liquid osmium, and then throw in the catalyst item that you want to create it from. And then you realize you have no upgrades in your osmium compressor and have to sit and stare at this go through this slowly. But there's our glowstone ingot, and that's complete. So the next step is the Osgloglas, which is an alloy in the Tinker's Smelter, and it's made by alloying molten osmium with molten refined obsidian with the refined glowstone. And the refined glowstone comes from the ingot we just made, not normal glowstone. And the refined obsidian, which I don't remember if I made on camera, comes from the osmium compressor with refined obsidian dust, which is just made in the metallurgical infuser with diamonds and obsidian dust of some sort. I think I was using the pulverized obsidian down here. Alright, so much Osgloglas made now. So much of it. But I also upgraded my picks, so that they are now also up to the Osgloglas level. Which means we kind of got a twofer, because we got this complete, but in the getting started section we also have this complete now. Which means I should go melt down some Endurnium real fast since I've got some ingots lying around and get the next step there done too, eh? And done with this now as well. And the next one is Terrasteel, which, well, we've got a bunch of that as well now, so I guess we're doing this one too. Alright, and now we are a slightly different shade of green. And that one is complete as well. And the next one is Supremium, which it turns out we can actually cheat our way up to this because we have Supremium ingots from our mob farm, although not a ton of them, and we have Supremium essences from our wither farm. So I guess we're gonna go do this one real fast. And from green to red. And I'm not gonna lie, this is a step I didn't think I was gonna be doing. I forgot we actually had the pieces for the Supremium ingots, having not done mystical agriculture at all. So that step is also done. Now this next one, we actually cannot do because this requires Awakened Draconium, and we're not even anywhere near starting Draconic Evolution. So back to Mekanism. So let's go bang out a couple more machines. Let's start with the Energized Smelter, which is just Mekanism's version of the Smelter, which is pretty simple and just as easily finished. I'm just going to put this one in a box though, because unless I end up with a specific need for it, I've already got multiple other smelters that can handle what this does. And the next one was the Precision Sawmill, which we already made for another device previously. As far as I'm aware, this isn't really an upgrade over the other sawmills. Alright, and let's move up to Biofuel now, which is just most organic matter crushed in the crusher. So I'm going to toss some saplings into my new factory. And as you can see, the factory is chugging along, producing a bunch of biofuel. Let's take some of this out to complete it so we can show you the next step, which is the Bio Generator, which consumes biofuel to make power. That said, this is not really the best step for this because you can take the biofuel and process it into ethylene for a better generator further down the line. And this is pretty simple to make as well, and also easily finished. Slapping this down on the ground, we can show you generally how it works. It just takes fuel, consumes it, and generates a small amount of power. And it's outputting 240 arithmetic, which isn't that shabby in the scheme of things. The next step up is the heat generator, which produces it from heat and lava. And it's actually pretty simple to make. Alright, so this is an odd one because this is basically your standard solid fuel generator in that it can take coal and whatnot to burn, but it also can be surrounded by heat sources, mostly lava, to generate passive power, and they can work simultaneously to the best of my understanding. These don't generate a ton of power, so I've never bothered building them. But let's toss a coal in here to see what it does. Converted that to lava, which converted that to not entirely shabby amount of power, but not amazing. But the reality is this is going back in the box. And with this, I think we're going to call it a day, because if we continue on, we're going to move into the actually set up an ethylene generator, but that process isn't entirely simple, and I do actually want to do this because I've actually never set one up myself. So we'll hold that off for another episode. So let's pop open all our loot chests and see what we got. Most of the pickaxe rewards turned out to actually be items, and ironically, one of them gave me infusion crystals to open up mystical agriculture, which means I can now take blocks of prosperity instead of having to go find those on another planet, and now I can add that to my pick, and we will be able to get shards while just digging around here if I wanted to. But this is probably the best thing I can take right now. Otherwise, it was about 15 loot chests, so let's pop them open. Another crafting unit. It really wants me to get an 82, and they're not wrong. Soul sand. Another colored block crafter, which I still haven't shown you how it works. Carpet. Draconic Evolution Basic IO Crystal for energy transfer. Probably useful. Never actually set these up, so I don't know how useful they are by themselves, though. Another warp blocks. Concrete. Who do we haven't eaten? Lapis lazuli. Blocks. Mending moss, which is an upgrade for Tinker's Construct weapons to basically give them the mending enchant from vanilla Minecraft. Something I don't really need because of how easy my stuff is to repair. Nuclear craft speed upgrades, which I'll take for free. Donut that we have eaten. Flux electrum blocks, which we're getting out of our mob farm. Rod of shifting crust. So I actually had to look this up because I've never seen this before. This is a block replacement tool. You can basically shift right click it on a block and it will use that as a target block, and you can shift other blocks to change them to that block type. It consumes mana off of mana tablets in your inventory. There are other tools we can make that are similar to this, and an Engineer Skyhook, which we already had. So for the most part, not that exciting other than maybe the Draconic Evolution relays, but we get what we get. But we made a lot of progress through Mekanism. We're just carving through some of this stuff now and getting it out of the way, just to clear it out, and that's good. Anyhow, as always, I'm Ard. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.